Hello and welcome to Sidequest. This is our video game show here at Geekverse. I am your host Elmus, and I have with me the non-happy ending Travis Snell. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing good, other than as I complained to you guys, just tech issues galore this
Tech
week
issues.
on everything I own right now. But cord down, camera down, PlayStation down. But hopefully it's looking up.
Sorry, did you get the PlayStation figured out, or is that still in
PlayStation's
limbo?
figured out. My worry is, so I ordered a new, for people that don't know, I played my PlayStation completely fine, moved it to the bedroom because today I was like, I'm going to play some Hitman. That's what I was going to do. So I played some Hitman, booted up, and it was just saying, the game's not working. I'm like, well, that's odd. And then I'm going through all this, having to repair the external over and over. I did clear my cache, everything. So I ordered the only option of all the ones I went down is try a new cord because I don't have another additional, whatever external, because it has that weird, what is that ending? It's a USB to whatever that is external. It has like the weird,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
No one knows.
Yeah, no one knows what it is. But so we'll find out tomorrow. But I ordered that. The PlayStation's fine, but I got a lot of games on there. So just like today, I bought Hitman on PS4. It went over because it was on the external drive. I didn't have it, and plus I didn't want to. I don't actually know where my PS4 right now is, and I had a succinct window to play Hitman. So I was excited. I'm hoping to next week when we talk about Mario Kart or for a mini review talk about that, just my quick thoughts. But so I'm hoping this cord is the fix. If not, then I get. But it's weird. The external says it's there. Just I don't know.
Well, hopefully you have a good update for us next week, and you can talk about Hitman. Yeah. And we also have the Call of Wake, Silent Hill Ops 7, Taylor Field. What's up, man?
Oh, not much. Happy to be here. Happy to talk Xbox today.
Yeah, you and I just talked Nintendo for a bit. We shared our first impressions on the Switch 2. So you can go check that out on the feeds right about now. But today we are closing off the kind of quote-unquote fake E3 season by talking about the Xbox showcase that happened on June 8th of 2025. We're going to break down all these announcements, or at least the ones that are most exciting to the panel here at large. So let's get into it right away with some just top-level thoughts. I see Travis cringing over there. I'm hoping all is well.
Because I was pulling up the conference and the audio was in full blast, so the first whatever 30 seconds were loud.
I was going to say it's not good if you have a cringing reaction to me mentioning the showcase. That's if you have a visceral icky feeling in your tummy, that's no good. But
maybe in the olden days, but
yeah, I'm going to start with Mr. Xbox here, Taylor. I don't know. What was your top level thoughts, overall thoughts on this here Xbox showcase?
It felt like it was kind of in line with previous Xbox showcases. It wasn't anything that kind of blew me out of the water and got me super jazzed and excited. I thought some of my expectations, there were things that made sense and things like, oh yeah, right, that's being showcased. Yeah, I got it. Okay. But then there's other things that I would have liked to have seen that didn't get any kind of any attention towards. It just felt like, man, this is just Gear 6. It just felt like it was I don't know, just as it was. You're always getting Sea of Thieves, and that went over my head. So when it popped up, I was like, oh, of course, season 10,000. So
that and Elder Scrolls
adding
Online.
Smuggling. I'm like, is smuggling not in the game? That's insane. That we're this deep in the game and you can't smuggle.
I swear
currently?
it was, but
I don't know. It must be an overhaul. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Travis? Overall thoughts?
Yeah, it was kind of like a whirlwind where I thought they were starting off hot again because you can go back in the annals of history for the mini Summer Games Fest and then most of E3. Xbox, I thought almost every year we've been covering them has disappointed because it's just either they don't have the good, the right amount of games to show, interesting games, or when they show them, it's always like, oh, something about this doesn't look good, or it's just the bad showings of, oh, they got a car on stage and they got this guy. Like they to me were responsible for many lackluster ones. And then lo and behold, last year, I remember, I didn't listen back, but I'm pretty confident last year I gave that one a 5. I think I've only ever given 5.
It was a really good one last year.
Yeah, I think in the time we've been doing this, there's only been 3 5s. I think it was that one. It was I think the first Nintendo E3 was Smash. I think because that has like I thought the Smash reveal, but then I thought they had a bunch of other games as well. Like I thought it was another
Right.
like big. I think even Metro was in there. Whichever one they had one where it was like 45-minute nonstop of tons of stuff. And then obviously the first year we did at E3 when they revealed for Sony like God of War and Death Stranding and Days Gone. So I feel like obviously it's not as much as movies, but I feel like with the E3s and the Summer Games Fest and whatnot, I got to be. It all has to be on firing all cylinders to be a 5. When we started, I thought we might have a chance to get there because I knew they had a good lineup and stuff, and I was liking the pacing of the show, and that's all I'll say. That I think it's technically going to be my highest rated conference of the whole thing we've done, just because the pacing, they were out of there at like hour 5 hour 15 for the actual showcase. I know they did stuff for Grounded and Outer Worlds after, but I'm talking just the actual, hey, here's the start to finish what we're doing. I think there's a little hiccups, and then they obviously the ending was, I don't care, atrocious, just awful. And I'm somebody that has now plays Call of Duty more than ever. Maybe not the past recent weeks, but at least since we've been doing E3, the way they set that up was like negligent, the way they did that. And they also just didn't have any. I thought they'd have a couple more big surprises up their sleeves, and other than I'd say the Allied, which is rumored, I just thought like even games or even just layups. Like I remember me and Mike were talking on the Discord, I think everyone kind of thought Fable was like, oh, that's a layup, that's for sure going to be here in like some bigger capacity or somewhere, and not even here at all. So there's just certain stuff. So I think that's the thing where pacing was really good. I loved the show time, as far as I said, 110 to 115. Thought that was a right amount. They had, they only had 3 people come on and talk. I thought that was all right, but it didn't kill the pace of the show. But yeah, I think there was lack of surprises and a very poorly paced kind of last 50 minutes, especially with that last announcement. I thought that was a big, not even a nosedive. Like the fucking plane just blew up in midair. Nathan Fielder was not flying this plane. It was somebody else. So no Evan Effen's sound and sight. So yeah, I think it was a really good one, but not a great one. But I know why there's lots of people really disappointed by it. But I do think with everything they own now, they probably could have had a better outing.
Sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think that was going to be my point, is like just with how many studios they've gobbled up and publishers even they've gobbled up, and then all the third-party deals that they are always swinging to make Game Pass bigger and better than ever. Like, there's no excuse for them to not have a banger showcase every year. And I think especially because they only do one showcase a year, and then, they'll do an announcement at Gamescom, and they'll do something at the Game Awards, and then they have their developer direct, but that's always shorter. That's like, 4 games, 5 games at most, really like focused, usually just follow-ups from one of these showcase things. So it's like there's no reason that once a year they can't just do a huge blowout and get a ton of information out there, especially now they're always going to have like a Call of Duty in there, as Taylor mentioned, like Sea of Thieves, maybe that's not talking to us, but like there is, there's obviously these games that they have that people care about. So I feel like they're always like, if they miss, that's like a huge no-no on them. Like there's no excuse to. I think this was a good showcase. I think for me personally, there was like 2 or 3 really big, huge, exciting things, and then just like, a bunch of updates on things I kind of knew about and it was cool to see about. I think it was missing like maybe that one big, juicy just thing that spoke to me specifically. Obviously Elder Scrolls 6, I wasn't expecting that, but if they did surprise me, that would have been crazy. Blade, I'm on the edge of my seat waiting for more Blade, so that would have been cool. Even Fable, because I'm a big Fable head. Perfect Dark, I think, as well. Like if they had maybe one of those in there as well, with a nice showing, I think this would have skyrocketed up for me on the personal level. But there is still a bunch of things I'm excited for here. It's always like, for me, how many things am I putting on my list to keep track of? Oh, this game's cool coming out now. I got to put this on my calendar because I got to keep track knowing when this comes out. And there were quite a few of those, a few surprises. And I think as far as what I saw, not a lot of leaks. One game I saw leaked, and obviously the Xbox Ally has been talked about for a long time, but not officially shown. So there was a few things that we kind of had an idea about. But overall, I think this was a very good showing. And then, like just the last part, the Outer Worlds thing, I thought was like really, really well done. I don't know if you guys watched through all that. No. We can talk through it, but it was really good. So yeah, let's kind of get into it here. So the first thing that they did, they started and closed ish with Outer Worlds. They showed up with Outer Worlds, a quick trailer, which was kind of a weird idea, knowing considering that we had it at the end. But I think they probably know that a lot of people don't want to watch like a 30 to 40 minute long thing on one game to see a release date at the end. So maybe they're like, hey, let's get a trailer out there. It's a minute and a half, 2 minutes, whatever. It shows you the release date, which was not announced. So those people can get that information. And then like for the people who want to stick around, you can come back for the direct at the end. But yeah, what did you guys think? Yeah, Travis, you kind of shook your head that you didn't watch the rest of the direct. Did you watch the rest of that stuff, Taylor? Did you see the Outer Worlds like full breakdown or just that one trailer at the beginning?
I didn't see the full breakdown. No.
Okay. I don't know. Did the first trailer speak to you then? Because I feel like most of the big juice was in that direct. But what are you guys thinking about that game? Interested at all? Taylor, I know you did play the first one for a few hours at least.
I did play the first one for a few hours. This one, it looks, it's building off of the world that they've created, and it looks interesting. My hang up is just trying to find the time to commit to these open world exploration kind of games, and I am curious to see what they've built off of from the first one, because I'm trying to remember that first one you didn't pilot ships like Starfield, but you could customize your ships, could you not?
You couldn't really customize it so much, but like as you got companions, they would move in and like decorate the different rooms with their like paraphernalia and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just make more locations to go to and all that. Like it looks pretty exciting, but I don't know if I'm going to be getting right into it right away.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Travis?
Yeah, no, what I need to do is I need to give the first one another shot, because I remember being excited and all the touchstones sounding, okay, this is like a Travis game, because I love game with choice. I love that they didn't, I'm pretty sure they didn't have the actual speech options, right? It was just text options for your character.
Yeah, there's no like voice dialogue for your different
which
stuff,
I think is always a bit better because you get a bit more options and there's less time. I just remember because I that's before Games Pass that I borrowed from Dylan. And I think I played about like 3 or 4 hours. And I just never got the hook into it. I don't know if it was just the timing of it. Don't know if it was the actual game. So this one, The Outer Worlds, is actually still on it's lower down my catalog playlist now, but it is on there because I want to give it a real shot and like put some hours, because it's just like I think maybe it was bad timing. But at the same point, I will say for this, it's very interesting. Now, obviously they're so far apart, but that for me, other than a few mechanic things, man, if you just like changed a few colors and few like looks of things and just threw Fallout on there, it just feels so much like Fallout. I know obviously why it does, but to the point it feels weird of because they own Fallout now too. It would feel different if like, oh, Fallout's at PlayStation and then Outer Worlds is here, so it's kind of competitor. But it just kind of, not to sound mean, but it's funny, again, in the Discord we told us a couple weeks ago of like the death of Star Trek, and I always said like, well, that kind of happened because Star Wars came back, and that's almost how I feel with Outer Worlds. It's like, now do I want to get in that, or do I want to get into like New Vegas that I've never played? And that's the tough thing where I think they haven't made themselves look. If anything, I think the first Outer Worlds felt more different than Fallout. Where this is looking way more similar to Fallout to me. So
yeah,
it didn't sell me where I feel like, oh, I was missing out. Just like, oh yeah, that's on the list. So I didn't think it was a great showing, but I think it has its obviously fans, and we'll see how the second one does. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that. Like, one of the things they talked about in the direct is that they were the first Outer Worlds was kind of like space, like, yes, I don't know, Western frontier. It was like the hybrid, but this one is like space mixed with like World War One was the vibe they were going for. And you don't really see a ton of that from the first trailer, I thought, but in the extended sequence they had a part that looked like a World War One battlefield and everything. Okay. So I feel like, yeah, I don't like, obviously Fallout sort of has vibes of like Western stuff, but especially New Vegas in certain points, but it also has that more wartime setting. And so I feel like obviously they've made Fallout New Vegas, they made that game, so obviously it's in their backyard, this kind of thing. But yeah, and obviously they don't need to worry about like copyright infringement because it's all under the Xbox umbrella. But yeah, I think that was an interesting little shift, and not something I've really seen before. Like World War One mixed with space is an interesting idea that I can't say I've ever particularly thought about. So this is coming out October 29th now. I did watch the extended deep dive, and that really sold me on it because I think I had my expectations tempered on this one just because I did enjoy Outer Worlds, but then when I went back and played the game a second time when all the DLC was out, not that I soured on the game, but it just didn't blow me away. And it's, when you're playing an RPG that's like, ooh, your choices matter, and I played it through a second time and I was like, yeah, like it changed a couple things, but like it didn't like I think it would have been better if I just left it at one playthrough and that experience. But this one, it seems like they've just made a lot of little bells and whistles. Like the combat looks a whole lot better. There's a lot of crazy weird stuff in there. They've increased the RPG system. They talked about how they borrowed a lot more from the Fallout New Vegas like RPG system, which is obviously great. And the whole sequence was just hilarious. Like I think some of the vibe that they've been going for in the marketing of this, of like making fun of sequels and like corporations, just squeezing every last dime out of a franchise and stuff, just hasn't been working for me. But for this sequence, they had Ben Schwartz in there, and he was this guy named Mark, who was like he's like the head of sequels at Obsidian.
See some of this, yeah.
And it was really fucking great. Whoever was doing the writing for that and mixed with his delivery that he has, like, it was so funny. It really, really worked for me, and it helped like sell me on the game a little bit more. So I guess just a few highlights. One, there's a lot of like slowing down time, like throwing a grenade, slowing down time, shooting it midair. It looks cool, like super cinematic. There's a shrink ray you can use to like shrink enemies and then just literally jump on top of them like Mario and get kills like that, which is super cool. One of the things they highlighted were flaws for your character, which I think is great. So many RPGs, maybe they have like little downsides on abilities, but it's usually just like, oh, you do like 5% less melee damage, but now you do more gun damage. But these, they really went out of their way to make some really creative flaws. One of the ones they talked about was the skill called bad knees, where you can crouch and like move quicker, so you're like better in stealth, but whenever you stand up, your knees make a really loud cracking sound, and then you like alert all the enemies around you, so that you're like, you have to be really careful in stealth. Another one was called kleptomaniac, where like stolen goods sell for a lot more money, but now when you're just looking at random objects in the world, there's a small chance that you'll just accidentally steal it, like without you hitting the take button, it'll just pick it up, and so you have to deal with the consequences, like, shit, I just stole this thing, now the guards are coming after me. And there was a lot of them in there that are just super creative, and like that's going to be just so fun for character building, and like more so than the world reacting to different choices. Those are the things I'm excited for on like multiple playthroughs. Like, oh, I just want to build these different freakish characters, and the game seems like it's really going into that. And the weapons look so much better and more fun than that first game. One of the couple of the weapons they showed off, one is like you shoot like tumors at enemies and they like grow on them a little and like blow up. Another one was a like drone, like a huge cannon thing that shoots drones that just like are advertisement drones, and they like distract your opponents with like these huge bombastic ads, which really fits the kind of corporate satire thing they're doing here too, which is just such a weird, like, I've never seen a weapon like that in a game, and I think it's such a fun, crazy idea. So yeah, it was a really cool breakdown. There's a lot of really fun stuff in there. So I had my expectations kind of lower for this one, but I'm getting a lot more hyped for it. The only downside is there's like a million games coming out in October now, so who knows how much time I'll spend with this one at release. But for a game that I was like feeling iffy on, I'm now much more sold on it. So I think, and even like you can double jump now. There's a lot more movement options, so I think the game's just gonna feel a lot less stiff than it did the first time around. So I'm very excited for Outer Worlds. I think this obviously got the biggest highlight, and I think it was probably the best showing for a game in here, and really sold me on it. So shout outs to that one. Nice. Moving along to High on Life 2 is a game coming out this winter, so that's kind of a surprise. That's the game that has like the weird guns that are like little creatures.
Right.
I never got around to playing that one on Game Pass, the first one. I think it's still on there, but this one, the sequel's coming out this year. And it looks like more of the same, but that's cool. It's a good Game Pass get for the winter, because I think that came out pretty recently. It was like 2 years ago, maybe 2023 or something. Pretty recent.
This is another one I can't really talk about in the Summer Games Fest, where I still thought this was the first game. I'd completely missed that it came out, so I was like, oh, we're on 2 already. Okay, but yeah, very wild. If you're ever like, hey, they keep making the same games, just variations. High on Life is not that. Like, it's a shooter, but I feel like very unique. So nothing in there for me, but I always like seeing the trailers. So
yeah. And then there was Resonance, a Plague Tale story, which is coming out next year. So this is the third Plague Tale game, but this is more of a spin-off than like a true sequel. People can go back if they want. Me and Kirkland did a retrospective for the first game, and then like a spoiler cast on that second one. So we've covered the series pretty heavily at this point. Oh. And I'm pretty surprised to see it here, at least in the way we did, because without spoiling the ending of the second game, there's like I forget if it's a post-credit or mid-credit, whatever it is, but there's a cliffhanger thing that is absolutely not what this game is. So I'm guessing that there is still like a third game in the works, and this is like, more them going for like a spin-off kind of thing. So yeah, very surprised to see what it was, but it looks like you have a new character here, different setting. I even like in the logo, they have like a huge maze, and I feel like this seems like you're going around through some underground crypts and solving puzzles like the first games had. I don't know. It seems like the setting's quite a bit different than like the plague and like, I don't know, disaster setting of those first 2 games. So it seems like a bit of a pivot, which I guess makes sense for a spin-off. But yeah, not what I was expecting for Plague Tale, but cool to see the series getting another entry.
Is this the same exact team that did the last two? Obviously, some
Should
people
be, I think
changed.
so.
Okay, I was just wondering if it was a situation where one team was making this and then another team is making another one, kind of like we got with
I mean,
something
maybe
was
they've
Call of
scaled
Duty.
up and maybe they have two like internal teams
Yeah,
now.
I was just wondering
Potentially.
that if they, because that does seem a little odd to not do the direct follow up. It wouldn't seem odd if it is a different team because like, well, we're gonna work on this. Well, you guys work on the main game, but yeah, Plague Tale Legacy. I was like, oh, that's a new one in like the we talk about like a Star Wars story or from the world of John Wick or the part twos like or that's just like oh something Legacy. Like I haven't seen that yet in movies, so I'm like okay, there's a new one that I expect we'll see at some point. Some
Yeah.
studio is gonna see this, be like oh yeah, something Legacy. That's a great one. So yeah.
Yeah. And then after this, when we got the Xbox Ally shown off the Xbox handheld that has long been rumored, but as they finally showed it off here, there are two versions, much like the S and X. There's like a stronger version and a weaker version. Different little features here and there. We don't have the prices for these at the moment. I saw a article that was kind of comparing the tech of it, and it seems like these are a little bit stronger than a Steam Deck. So we'll see where the prices line up in comparison to a Steam Deck. But yeah, what did you guys think of this? We finally got these things shown off. Are you interested in this at all? Do you see yourself picking one of these up in the future?
Oh man, I mean, if I didn't buy a Nintendo Switch 2, maybe there's some room for it, but I'm probably not going to pick this up. When it comes to that level of gaming, I like to just sit down on a couch with a controller and console and TV. That's where I'm at. But there's definitely a demographic and a lifestyle that this is designed for, and I think a lot of people are going to tap into this because my one buddy, he messages me. He's like, "Oh, did you see that new handheld from Xbox?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did." He's like, "I really am considering getting it because he just had a second kid." And he's just thinking, he doesn't have time to sit down and the kids are running around and playing and he can't just sit down and play video games. So he's just thinking
So
with
he can
those
run
little
outside the house.
well, that's right. He's thinking those little breaks in between or when it's like he's going to bed, he's got like a half an hour to kill and play a couple games in bed. This just makes it so much more easier for him. So I think that again, there's definitely a demographic available, but I'm wondering because I feel like this is going to incorporate that Steam library somehow because there was
I think it does.
discussion before. It does. Okay.
I think, it's not just going to be the Xbox Store and Game Pass on there, but you can download like whatever other. I don't think they mentioned Epic. That was maybe the one they didn't mention, but they did mention Steam and other storefronts. So you're going to be able to play your Steam games on here too.
Okay. Can you cast to a TV with this? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Because that would be another huge, that'd be a big get for them, I would say. I mean,
That
just
would
go
be
to a
the
friend's
biggest
house.
get, because I like that. That's to me like the
That'd
two
be like
things,
a Switch Lite
Yes.
almost. Yeah.
That's the thing, because like Emily was watching when this was revealed and like talked about what we buy or this that. And like obviously I'm always down to potentially buy something in the future like this because like Gwen started playing Minecraft. We got 5 kids, so at some point we're gonna need consoles for all these little people running around at some point. But from where I am now, two things. Yeah, I found it very. Never bad to get tech out there, but when they said fall this year, I found that very interesting because, like Taylor just said, I'm like, well, I just bought a Switch, and I feel like there's gonna be a lot of that. So I feel like it's the worst time to release like another handheld, like even just a little bit later into like next year, like spring. So timing's I think tough for them, and yeah, for me it's like as with the Switch, right? That thing is docked 95% of the time. So for me, if this was, hey, like the Switch where it'll replace the Xbox, then in the future, then maybe I would get this because you have the option. But if it's just a handheld, not personally for me, but I think it's great for people to do that. But I think that is the tough thing to compare with the Switch because I think they got everybody. They got the people like handheld, then they got people like myself that do that. Where if this is just a handheld, I'm curious how it goes, and I'm curious how it sells. Obviously, it's nice that it's like you log in your account, your games are there. It's not like a separate buying things. Like I think that's fantastic. Great.
And it's not like the Portal where you can only stream things, right? Like
Yes.
you can download things natively on here.
Definitely seems like the better option. It's just a curious case of okay, how much people are really into this. Because even when Nintendo had like let's say the Wii and the whatever the Game Boy, what do they call them at the end there? The XD or what the heck were the last
3DS?
consoles? The 3DS, like those ones. To me, those still were different markets, right? And I feel like now the Switch has merged those, and I feel like it's tough with these because I feel like a lot of handheld game players, there's billions around the world, but unfortunately, it's them on their phones. Like they have tons of games with apps, so it's like
Yeah.
It's just a question of how much of the people that own these games would want to travel with them, and that could be a lot. There could be tons of people that take buses, want them around, want to like Taylor said in the situation, take them to the bed, sit on the couch. I just don't know the numbers, and it's tough to compare to Switch because that's two things. Like if the Nintendo had a console and a handheld, I'd still just be buying the console, right? So I'm curious on a business side to see how it goes. But again, releasing with the Switch, that's a tough time because that's the hot ticket handheld right now. So I'm curious how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I think since they partnered with ROG, the company here who already has their handheld out on the market, and it's kind of like the number 2 behind the Steam Deck, and obviously the Switch is number 1, but like that would be in that like that kind of handheld PC space. They're kind of number 2 in the market right there. And so I feel like, from Xbox's perspective, like the investment here on R&D and stuff is probably way less than like typically building out a new console from scratch. And so I feel like the investment from them is probably a lot lower. And it just offers a new vertical for people to be able to subscribe to Game Pass and like play their things, which they, technically haven't had before. You could just have got the ROG Ally as exists right now, or you could get the Steam Deck, and you can, with Steam Deck you have to do like a couple workarounds, but you can eventually get Game Pass working on there. But to have something that is natively built for their tech, I think is a huge step up. So we'll see. And even if it like kind of flops, I feel like it's not the end of the world. It's not like they've put all their eggs in this basket. It's just like another way to get people, subscribe to Game Pass in a way. So I think the other thing too, I think just them marketing this around Silksong, which is like one of the hottest like indies out there that people have been waiting for that release date, and to kind of, I don't know, market a lot of the hype around the console. Like obviously when the game comes out, it'll be on like Steam and whatever too. So you won't need this handheld to play it. That would be insane. Unless they dropped like the hugest bag ever at Silksong's door and like made it exclusive on this handheld, but that would be a really weird idea. But I think that was kind of smart and a little bit devious. I don't really see myself picking this up. I think I very rarely play things on the go right now. The Switch does the trick for how rarely I should say that I need access to this. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see down the line, because I've considered looking at Steam Decks and things. So I'm curious to see where the price point lands. Where do you guys think this works with Game Pass? Because right now there is, Game Pass console tier, there's Game Pass PC tier, and then there's Ultimate, which allows you to play Game Pass games on both console and PC. And then I don't know how that works with streaming. I don't know if that's a third tier or like how you get access to that Xbox Cloud thing if you want to play things on your phone with a controller. But like, is there a new tier for this? Is this just considered console tier? Do they whip out a new Ultimate tier that gives you access to all 3 places? Like, how do you think they work Game Pass onto this machine?
So if I had, let's say I had the same console, an Xbox in the living room, an Xbox in the bedroom, and if I logged on, wouldn't I just be able to share that same Game Pass?
Yes.
Well, that's how it works with PC, but you have to pay for it.
This is a separate tier.
Yes, or
if you
pay
want it with
for it.
PC.
Okay. Oh, but I'm saying. Okay, so I guess what I'm trying to clarify is I think just the Xbox, like, you could just get this thing and play just Xbox games on it, right?
The handheld?
The Ally, yeah.
I mean, I assume it'll be just bundled in with a console tier, but I don't know. I don't think they said that.
Okay, I just think, I guess I don't know on the PC side because I don't look into that stuff. I just think
maybe it'd be the PC tier. I don't know. I guess like, is this a PC or is this a console? I don't actually.
It's an Xbox, this is an Xbox, but I don't. I guess maybe I'm answering a question you didn't ask. I'll say that I don't think you'll have to additionally play for any more Games Pass stuff if you just want to play Xbox games on here. I think you'll just have the Game Pass subscription and be fine. But I don't know how that works. So.
Yeah. What do you think, Taylor? How do you think they try and squeeze people for every last penny they have on this thing, or do they want like a cheaper, like here's like a $8.99 tier to just only play on this handheld to get people to incentivize people to like pick this thing up and use it?
If they really wanted to be sleazy, then absolutely they could create another tier and just like, instead of Ultimate, it's Supremo, and it has all 3 different consoles meshed in there under the one subscription. But I hope that they don't do that. I feel like this is going to be so in line with console that it's just going to be considered the same thing. The basic Games Pass that you get is console, and if you want the Ultimate, you can get all of that together with the PC. But I just feel like PC, some of those games on Games Pass like not all of them work on PC, I don't imagine. So I think you have some limitations and some that are probably like maybe they're ported over to PC on Games Pass to have that functionality. I don't know how it really works, but I feel like that keeps PC kind of its own separate thing, but keeps the Ally more in line with the console because of how it operates. But it is a Windows operating system, right? Like you can go and do other things on here. So
I think so. Yeah. I don't know how much of
Yeah.
that is built in, or you have to like the Steam Deck, download all this random stuff to be able to get outside of just the games of it. I'm not sure. I mean, there's like the Xbox button on it. I'm sure that's like if you just want to access Game Pass, you just hit that button. But I don't know otherwise if it just has like Windows 97 on there or something. That'd be crazy. Imagine that.
I wonder how long before someone wipes it and it just installs like an Apple software in there instead.
It'll probably be done.
easy.
I'm sure people
Yeah.
have done that on their Steam Deck just because they
Get on the
could.
market,
Yeah, yeah. We'll keep an eye out for this thing. Curious to see how it does. Yeah, I think it'll be a pretty small market, but for the enthusiasts, it's probably a nice little option there. Blood of Dawnwalker. The Blood of Dawnwalker. I feel like you guys might be into this game. What do you think of this one? This is the kind of vampire-looking thing. Apparently, this is like the Witcher 3 like creative director's like spin-off, like not spin-off game, but he's left and done this or something. So, you guys have any thoughts on this one?
I'll wait for Blade.
Okay.
It just like I said in the Discord, the origin was literally like, he's there with his family, gets attacked. He's a day walker, and I'm going to use what they used against me. And you get the setting, but no, this one actually didn't do too much for me. So I don't know. I think it's just the same thing. I like to try and space out different genres, and unfortunately for them, I'm kind of sitting around waiting for a vampire game. So maybe Dawn Walker. If I hear great things, because the good thing is with the Games Pass, it's just this was a game. Not all of these, but most of these are Games Pass games, right? I think there was still a couple that weren't. It was like some
There's a
third-party
few that
ones.
aren't, like
Yeah.
Final Fantasy and whatnot.
Was this one that's
I'm
Games
not sure.
Pass?
I wasn't
Okay.
writing that down for every game individually.
Yeah.
but-
So if it was, that's always a great thing with the Xbox is if there's something that hits, it is just a download away and it's easy. You can commit a couple hours and be like, I'm just trying to figure out here if it is. No, it's not. So this is coming. It's on Play Any because that was the confusing thing. In the left corner, they'd have two boxes, either Play Anywhere or the Games Pass, or have them both. And this is on Steam and PS5. So
Gotcha.
nothing for me on this one really. So yeah, I think with it not being on Games Pass, definitely probably not forever.
Yeah, one of the most hyped things for me was Super Meat Boy 3D. Did you guys ever play Super Meat Boy back in the day?
No, heard great things though.
One of the great all-time 2D platformers. I love the aesthetic here. I love that they kind of had like the Mario pipe at the start of this. I thought that was pretty cheeky.
Oh, I was worried. I'm not worried, but I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's cool. Like I feel like the art style is such a glow up from what that 2D game was, which was very dark and grungy, not very colorful, other than like the red blood that was everywhere. But I feel like this is much more squishy and Mario-like and glossy, which is fun. But yeah, Super Meat Boy is great, and I think this looks like a really fun 3D variation on that. So I'm very, very excited for this one. That was one of my. I was not expecting this at any point, but it was cool to see. And I love to one of the things with Meat Boy is like the levels are super hard. And so it might take you like 30, 40, 50 tries to get through a level. But then when you do beat the level, you get like a little video of seeing all of the Meat Boys fly, like all the paths you took. You see all of them sequentially. And so you say, oh, I died on these spikes here. I ran to this saw blade here. And then eventually year one makes it to the end from the successful run. And so to have that in 3D and seeing that here of just 50 Meat Boys all flying off at once and just splashing into the same props and things is really hilarious to see. So I think this game is going to be a banger, and I'm very excited for it. Okay, next up is the Indiana Jones DLC, the Order of the Giants, which we knew about. Of course, it was part of the pre-order bonus or whatever it was. I think they even had the name of it back then. But now we have the release date, which is September 4th. Taylor, I forget, have you finished Jones at this point, or are you still working your way through that?
I'm still like
archaeological
one
thing?
more
Oh my God.
location away from finishing it.
Wow.
I'm almost there, but yeah.
Are you buying this DLC, Travis?
Oh, it's a buy, hey?
Well, I
Is it
assume
not-
so.
I guess I didn't assume so because the game was on Game Pass. So the DLC being
That's
a
how they get you,
purchase-
though. That's how they get more money out of you. They put the game out, but then if you want to get early access or if you want DLC, you gotta shell up. Considering this is
Well,
part of the deluxe edition of the game that costs like $40, I assume that this is paid.
we'll see the price. I might just go in and finish all the side stuff because I love that game. I can't remember. Like I said, I didn't make a list. I think it's my game of the year last year.
Nice.
There's still some stuff, especially there's that tomb that you gotta go and get all this stuff, and if you get it all, then it opens up this big door and you get to reveal what's like kind of after the game. So, yeah, to me, this will be dependent on the price. I will eventually buy it at some point because I know it'll go down. But I think what I might just do is scratch the itch and just play the rest of the side missions I have in September. Because yeah, I loved that game, and this was funny enough. Like the other day, my most hyped thing was a DLC in this conference because I have very much enjoyed this game. So yeah, ask me when we get close to September what the price is, but I think it's
Gotcha.
it's a 50-50, but I definitely will acquire this at some point because I loved Indiana Jones. I thought they did a fantastic job, and I definitely want more of that. So it will be in my hands, and yeah, because it's just a question of what's going on too, because it's near the end of the summer. So depends. When's Ghost of Yota yet? Because I haven't decided if I'm getting that one yet.
It's like October 3rd or 4th, whatever that Thursday.
Oh, Ghost is
Friday
in October.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was August. What was I thinking? Is there something big in August?
For
I'll
you,
pull it up.
I don't think so.
For me,
I think you're playing Death Stranding, Donkey Kong, and then nothing till
just those two games, I guess.
October. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of did. You see anything in this? I feel like this trailer wasn't. It was kind of half like just reminding you the game exists, and then half like the release date. But I feel like there wasn't really much sauce in here in terms of the actual like game, right?
No, like the whole the Land of the Giants stuff like that. Like that doesn't get me really going, but it's just because I like the game that much. That's why I would purchase it again. So it's kind of to me very similar like Spider-Man DLC, where obviously that was different because that had Black Cat in it, right? So that was right away a selling point and some other things. But no matter what, I was gonna get that DLC because I loved the initial game. So that's kind of like where I am here. It just depends, but no, I'm probably just thinking in August is Metal Gear, but I'm not gonna buy that day one. It's just that's still my mind of at one point was a potential, but that you got Mafia Old Country and then Madden 26 and then you got Gears Reloaded. So you got some stuff going on in August.
Yeah, I liked Jones enough, but I don't need more. Like I'll play a sequel if that comes around, but I don't need to jump into this DLC for $30-$40, whatever. So I'll be skipping this one personally. Next up was a huge surprise when I saw this. Specifically when I saw the studio's name pop up, Game Freak, making an Xbox game. I think this is also on PlayStation as well, but Game Freak, the developers of Pokemon, which sometimes it's, you forget that Game Freak is not owned by Nintendo, and they can make things on other platforms. They just so rarely do. But I think, considering how much flack the recent Pokemons have got just in terms of like visual quality or like frame rates and things, it was cool to see like, wow, a Game Freak game that actually looks AAA and has like crazy visuals and has like soulsy combat and is like dark and gritty. Taylor, what do you think about this? Since you play a lot of Game Freak stuff, is this like are you jazzed about this?
It's a complete curveball from. I mean, I don't think I've played anything outside of Pokemon when it comes to Game Freak, and so just to go from something like that to this, it's like what? It's a huge change of pace, and yeah, just I've not played Elden Ring. I played a little bit of Dark Souls, so my experience is very limited. But I think you're right. This definitely bears kind of a similar vibe to it. It almost gave me like Monster Hunter vibes to a slight degree, but I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm sure that's pretty similar to your Elden Rings and your Dark Souls. But yeah, I am curious about this one, and I think the world that they've created is pretty cool. The creatures seem pretty neat, but I worry that maybe for the general populace out there and the general demographic that's not me, is this just more of the same? Or is it satisfying that craving, like people have finished Elden Ring and like, oh, I want more, or is it redundant?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of these kinds of games out there, so remains to be seen what's really unique about it. For me, what stood out was just the kind of plant root growing mechanics. It seems like a big part of this is you're like I don't know, some sort of earth mancer type thing where you can make roots grow out of the ground and like climb them like a bridge, or you can like create giant flowers and like jump off those and use them for, I don't know, attacking monsters in some way, that kind of thing. So it just, it looks cool, and I am just, anytime Game Freak does anything non-Pokemon, it's kind of notable just to see what they're cooking here. So I don't know, I feel like that was maybe a bit of a light theme here of not just the showcase, but Xbox in general. I feel like, they went and bought Mojang, so they have Minecraft, like the biggest game in the world. And then they went and bought Activision, so they have Call of Duty, which is like the biggest thing in the world. And like, I think Pokemon is past even what Microsoft could buy. Like, that's just beyond there. But with things like this, getting Game Freak in the door, Pal World, which they had like a big exclusivity thing with, and like the Game Pass launch, and then another game in this showcase that was called Animo. Do you guys remember that one? Which had like I thought that was a Pal World DLC or something because it had like Pokemon looking things in it too.
Oh yeah.
And even like the theme song of that game was like, I swear they were singing Pal World. So I was like, I don't know what's going on here, but I just feel like in some ways Xbox is like, okay, let's try and go after the Pokemon market in any way that we can, other than like obviously we're not going to get Pokemon on our machines, but let's try and get Game Freak. Let's get games that look like Pokemon. So we'll see if it works. I don't know. I don't know if people are going to be buying an Xbox to play this game. They'll probably just play it on their PS5 because I think it's also on there as well. But yeah, really, really cool. A big surprise for me. And I think the game looks pretty cool. How about we take our first break? I'm going to quickly thank our Patreon producers for helping us create all this content that we've done this week on Sidequest. Thank you to Aaron Braden, April of Darkness, Jack Grant, Sam, Superbad Mike, TGGLM69, Jeremy Renner, Charlie Rendell, and Cocktail Clay for keeping the lights on in this here Sidequest and the rest of the Geekverse realm. Without you guys, we could not do all of this, but thankfully we get to do all of it because of you. So thank you for that. And Patreon's the best place to go to get episodes early and ad-free exclusive stuff. It's just coming all the time. You can also join our Discord, leave a review, all that fun stuff. But yeah, how about we take a quick ad break and we'll be right back. Okay, we are back. Clockwork Revolution is a game from In Exile that we saw, I forget if it was last year or 2 years ago. It's kind of a steampunky aesthetic. There's a town, there's a big mystery going on, there's a lot of rich guys who are shitty. A lot of RPG systems, which makes sense for the studio that has previously brought you all the Wasteland games. This was a weird one where like huge trailer, lots of info, lots of characters, lots of gameplay, but then everything except for like a release date or even a release window. So this just felt like to me like a trailer that you would show like really close to like releasing a game, like maybe it's this year somehow or like next year or something. But we didn't get that at all. So I'm curious why. It feels like they blew their load a little bit early here. We'll see if they have more in the tank to show in the future. But what did you guys? I don't know if you guys remember this one from like the last time we saw it. But
no.
what did you think of this?
No, I don't remember last time. This felt like the first time I was seeing it. But I know why I would feel like that because I thought this was a great trailer, a great showing. I thought it was very fantastic. I think like you, it felt like this was going to be this November, this December sort of like tag, but it wasn't. So it was very odd. It felt like a here's everything we got. That's why you should be interested in the game. And then it's like, okay, why is we getting all this? Maybe there's something that in the future we're going to get something even like Q1 of next year, and that'll make it feel like a little different, but I felt like it would have been on there, so it was odd. But I know the reason why I would not remember this game last time. I'm just not into steampunk, so for me right away, it's just
you
not
don't like clocks, you don't like steam, you don't like bronze and gold.
I like gold. Maybe not. I was talking about this with my mother-in-law about because she's talking about getting a new watch. Like, I don't like watches. I don't need it. It has a lot of many things with the phone. Fair. I don't like things being on my body. But yeah, so this is just one of those things where I think this looks great, and I agree that maybe they should have held back a little bit unless the release date is closer and they just for some reason didn't want to drop it. Obviously, it's not this year, but no, I think this looked really cool. If you're in this, gave you story beats, gave you multiple weapons, locations, lots of things going on. There's just something about steampunk that just it's never done it to me, just not appealing to the eye. So
fair enough. What do you think, Taylor?
I'm definitely not as against steampunk as Travis is. I'm not
against it is harsh. I just not like I don't enjoy it. I'm not like get
Sounds
away
like
with steampunk. No. Steampunk would be like, why are you guys into this? You guys are losers. No, I'm just like, yeah, sure. I was against Call of Duty when this podcast started, and now I'm a turncoat. So
you are a turncoat.
True.
Yeah. But now I'm turning back after this fucking conference. We'll get there.
It looks fun. It really, really does. And it reminds me of like, I haven't played a lot of Fallout, but I got like Fallout steampunk vibes from this.
Oh.
Maybe some. Oh, yeah. No, I'll stick with that. Fallout steampunk. But that being said, like it still it looks fun, and maybe Wolfenstein Steampunk would be the appropriate comparison, actually.
Wolfenstein, is that very
Yeah.
Really?
steampunky?
No. I
No,
feel
he's
like
saying like
this
the
is
steampunk version of Wolfenstein, which I would
Yeah.
disagree because
You
Wolfenstein
disagree?
feels like a lot crazier than this. And
I felt like this is pretty crazy in terms of like its humor and its zaniness.
no, I feel like Fallout is a better compare. Wolfenstein is more like Doom crazy, where it's like weird ass Nazi lore and like what if scenarios and stuff. This felt
Right.
like more, yeah, like a Fallout type of humor, very quirky, very different type of characters. This doesn't look post-apocalyptic, but that sort of way where something happened in the world and now this is the life is. So
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. The characters definitely had like a Borderlands kind of vibe to them to a slight degree.
you listed Fallout, you listed Wolfenstein, and now Borderlands. There was another one in there, so it's like four. It's just a
It's
mishmash.
all three
Yeah,
of them
give us
are
one more.
combined and-
What was one more thing that it felt like, Taylor?
One more? Ooh. You know what? Looking at it, it feels like it has a little bit of a BioShock Infinite kind
Okay.
of vibe to it.
Sure.
Okay, that's Infinite. Yeah, once you say Infinite, then you're on the right
Yeah.
track. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think this game looks great. I'm just once again so curious about that release window for it. I think one of the things that Phil teased is that like 2026 is going to be a big year. It's like an anniversary year for them, and he mentioned that like Halo, Gears, Fable, like a lot of the tent poles are going to be coming out. He's lied many times before, so we'll see if any of that sticks. But I wonder if that's like part of it is like, I don't know, do we want to release this in 2026 where it gets buried by our own stuff, by GTA, by other things? And so maybe that's why they're holding off for now. But who knows? Maybe by the time the developer direct would roll around in like January of next year, maybe they'll put it in there and it'll be one of those 4 games they highlight and maybe it will come out that year. But maybe they just don't want to commit to it at this present time. So I'm really, really curious to see what they want to. I've only like dabbled a bit in Wasteland 1 and 2. I haven't played Wasteland 3, which I hear is kind of like by far the best of the series, so I'm excited to check that out at some point and see what their RPG chops are looking like. Speaking of RPG chops, Grounded 2, a huge surprise in here because I feel like that game, I guess it was 2021, I want to say, when it like finally went 1.0. Maybe it was 2022 actually.
I was gonna
One of
say
the-
there's a lot of like versions of it out though, right? Or like early.
Yeah, like I want to
know.
say it came out in 2019, but then like maybe by 2022
Yeah.
is when it went 1.0, and then I feel like even into 2024 it got an update still, like the custom backyard like map maker thing you could do. So that's why I was very surprised to see it here. But somehow Obsidian, as they were joking about in this direct, has like a third game coming out this year: Outer Worlds, Avowed, and Grounded 2. So obviously different teams within Obsidian, but it's crazy the output that this team has, and especially with how recently Grounded came out, which that was my game of the year in the year that it came out. I love that game a lot. I still haven't finished it, which I think is part of why I'm like not over the hill excited for this, because I've spent like 60, 70 hours in it. It's just a hard game at some points, and so I've just been like stuck in like the end game part of it. But yeah, so this is coming out into game preview in July. So once again, it's not the full release coming out this July. It's just once again going through that community phase. So I will probably not play it this July. I'll probably wait until it's done, because I don't want to help them make the game. I just want to play the game when it's done. That's usually how I am with like early access stuff. In terms of what they showed new here, it's like obviously a new, now instead of a backyard, you're in a local park, and there's fun. There's like a knocked over ice cream stand. There's like all sorts of turmoil, a huge garbage can, which would be huge levels. So I'm excited for all that new stuff. They talked about how there's rideable creatures like ants, which you can use to like help you build. There's rideable like spiders that you can use for combat, and they're gonna add other ones. They'll probably get like a bee in there you can fly at some point, I'm sure. And then they added classes as well. So I think that's one of the things that surprised me so much about Grounded was that it was a really fleshed out RPG game, because it didn't really seem like that's what you were going for with it. But they're like the stats, the perks, all that stuff was actually like really, really well done, and you could really specialize your character in a way. But now even more so, you can build out like, I'm going to play an assassin class, I'm going to play like a ranged class. So one thing I liked about the first game is how you could kind of be a little bit of everything. It seems like now you got to specialize a bit more. So maybe a further incentivizing multiplayer, even though it's a game I primarily played alone. However, I sometimes did play it with Taylor. We played a few times, and I played with some other friends as well. So yeah, what did you think about this? Because you've played like a good few hours of Grounded. Did this speak to you? Anything stand out to you about the sequel here?
Yeah, my experience has been, it's been a few hours in this game. It's between you and then a couple of other friends, and then my cousin who religiously invested his life into this game. Holy crap. It's been fun to hop into other people's worlds and partake in what they've built and then join for a few of those quests. It's not been one that I was ever able to really just kind of like sit down and commit into my own world and build and whatnot. And I'm totally okay with that because I had fun doing some of the building and just helping other people build up their worlds and just
It's a grindy
muck
game
around.
for sure.
It is a grindy game, yeah. And so I'm okay to be helping other people build up their worlds and all that kind of stuff. Like usually when I'd hop on with my cousin, he'd lend me some of his like extra armor and gear and whatnot. Then we go around, do some stuff and check out and explore and whatnot. But it's it's the first one it was something special when it first came out because just to have that kind of game at that kind of ground perspective level and just the spiders and just I remember when the preview first came out and walking around, thought, "Well, this world is really, really cool." And that was just like the demo was like a hour long thing when that first
Right.
came out.
Time limited, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll never forget it because that was a lot of fun just doing like the one intro mission on there. But yeah, there's a nice simplicity to it, and it's really fun just trying to go and collect things and do things all around in this world. But the ability of mounts in the sequel is very cool. That's awesome. And I definitely had like a bit of like a gasp when it was like, wow, you can actually ride spiders and get into like spider battles. That was pretty cool. And I don't remember there being like there's a variety of new not bosses but just enemy variants in here like the praying mantis, and then you got it was like a butterfly kind of thing that looked like they were fighting.
Scorpion,
Yeah.
caterpillar. I don't remember seeing those in the first game.
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of new that going on, which is great. I know next to nothing about the main story, so it was cool that they opened up this trailer with like what was going on with this.
I never saw the
deranged
resolution because I haven't
scientist.
beat the game yet. So
Yeah, so I think it's cool. It's like an alternative reverse like Honey I Shrunk the Kids kind of a thing where this deranged scientist shrinks them and then like it's like now they're vanished from the celebratory park statue thing that's going on. And yeah, I don't know, it's just I found that to be kind of an engaging narrative now seeing it on this trailer. So I think it looks awesome. And I hope this picks up a lot of speed and gets some more people in there. It's not doing a preview, right? It's just dropping the whole game.
no, it's preview.
Oh, they're doing a preview for it? Okay.
Doing it
They're
again.
doing it again, yeah.
Worked the first time, why not run it back, you know?
Yeah, I mean they have definitely built that game alongside the community, and yeah, I guess it did work for them. So, and that's how they're able to get it out this soon, I suppose, because it's not finished yet. They said that the current portion though that they have in there is the same size as the first game, and then they're going to add 2 more zones, so it's going to be like 3 times the size overall. Because at the end of the Outer Worlds thing, they had like a further deep dive on Grounded 2 a little bit as well. So I don't know if you caught that part, Taylor, where they shared a little bit more information, but yeah. So it's going to be. I mean, that game was already huge and took so long to traverse. Like, just I don't know, even in like the opening sections, like let alone before you like get access to the upper park or the upper backyard area and all that. So yeah, we'll see what happens there, but definitely a big surprise. And another game is called Aphelion. It's a game by Don't Nod, which I think looks really cool. I like this. It's like a space sci-fi setting. Spaceship crashes on like a snowy, icy planet. This kind of seems very much like Jusant, which is one of their previous games that they made, where it's very like experimental, and very movement focused. You're just kind of traversing through a world, exploring, figuring out what's going on, kind of going around this snowy planet, but then also through this giant crash ship and finding things and probably trying to find any survivors, things like that. This is like right up my alley. I'm excited for this. I think this looks like fun. You just cruise around in this cool world. There's definitely little hints, especially at the end of the trailer, of like, I don't know, some weird, freaky stuff going on. Although it seems pretty grounded for the most part, considering it's a space game. So I don't know. I'm pretty excited for this one. I think this is another good surprise for me. This is coming out next year.
Did this one, do you recall if it said it was a Games Pass one or not?
You'll have to look that up. Although Jusant, their last game was.
Okay.
So I think they're kind of in that Game Pass bag again.
Yeah, this one has me. This is a word of mouth one because I like it because this one looks like you mentioned some fun things about the potential gameplay of it, but for me, this looks to be like a really cool story focused based thing. Honestly, it's nowhere near. It's a very different genre, different feel, but it reminds me, what did the Hellblade we just reviewed earlier this year, right? Where that same thing where those games aren't that long, but they have a story. Then also that way different mechanics. But I'm always down for if there's a great story and it is like, maybe I don't know. 10 to 15 hours, something like that, a little more smaller even.
Yeah.
So, but this will be kind of word of mouth probably by critics before. And if it's on Games Pass, easy. So if it is and word of mouth, then I can see myself trying it out because I was intrigued, fun little tease at the end with some guys singing something, but it's like, is it aliens or is it like even the way that creature sounded? It sounded almost electronic in a way. So I don't know if it's like some sort of tech.
It was
or
glowing too.
Yeah, so that's where it's like it started off aliens, but I feel like is there more like a some sort of different type of extraterrestrial being? I don't know. That's what I like, but also I like characters being secluded in situations. So this one has my interest. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. So
Yeah, this one it looked pretty awesome actually. I think that right off the hop the story was definitely engaging and I was super driving with it and just find out who this character is. What was his name? Peter or something like that? Like I'll find you Peter, I'll find you Henry.
I didn't catch the name.
Whatever objective is.
That
but
didn't
yeah,
make my notes.
the idea of having just like
Find
this
Peter.
this alien thrown into the mix too, I'm down for that. So it looks like it's a good time exploring this alien ice world.
Nice. Another highlight for me, there's quite a few of these, but one of the weirdest things in this showcase was a game called There Are No Ghosts at the Grand, coming out 2026.
Oh, yeah.
Really weird hybrid of genres. It starts out and it's like you are inheriting this hotel, and so you're kind of having to rebuild it in what seems like very much a simulatory kind of way. Like, there's like spray paint simulator, power wash simulator. Seems like that kind of gameplay loop, but with like a little more sheen to it, a little more AAA-y sort of feeling to it. But then like this guy comes out and starts doing like a musical number and like kind of like a Rasta vibe sort of thing, really odd. And then it turns out you're like not just decorating this hotel, but like this whole city, this whole town. And then it gets into like some Lovecraftian horror at certain points. We get into some other musical numbers. So I don't know, just a weird mixed match of genres that I can't say I've ever seen before, and because of that I'm so excited for it. I don't know what the heck this game is, but like I really want to find out. So I don't know. I think this I just love when I see a game that I feel like has never existed before and one that's super memorable in a way. I'll probably forget the name of this game because it just has a weird title, but I won't forget that guy dancing in the hotel and be like, what the fuck am I watching here? So consider me intrigued about this one. I think this looks like a freaky game, and I'm into it.
Looks interesting, but I think I'll wait to hear your thoughts. It didn't pull me in. It made me want another Luigi's Mansion because the whole set of like, your father
sure.
used to do this for us, and I'm sure you could help us and stuff. So just that idea of a big match or something like that with ghosts. But no, it didn't look bad. But I was like, okay, it didn't make my list, but definitely looked unique. So
Yeah, absolutely. There was these kind of been sprinkled throughout, but I bundled them here. Age of Mythology Retold's getting a new DLC. Elder Scrolls Online's getting an update, of course. Fallout 76, you can now fish. Sea of Thieves, we mean about you can smuggle things now. So of course, those things always got to show up. Well, they don't have to, but they like to show them up here. Updates
they don't
for their
gotta
kind
show
of
up. They don't
ongoing
have,
games.
at this point. I don't think they need to.
They were all pretty quick, at least. I think
Yes,
is maybe the
I'll give
highlight
that.
here. They
Yeah.
breezed through them pretty quick.
These used to be a lot longer, so I'll give them that
Uh-huh.
it is quick and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny. Like even I agree too. I've seen Sea of Thieves in 2025. I'm like, I guess so. I know people are still playing it, but it feels like the people, if there's people still playing that constantly, they'll be in tune to the updates. Like when WWE game gets updates, like I'm not saying at a conference yet, but me and S folks know right away. Like, oh, does that? Like the people that are playing it, they know the updates. So
They're in
I
the Discord. They're in the subreddits.
Yeah,
they
like,
know,
and I think now these probably have gotten everybody they can get. But hey, good for them. Keep pumping out. So
I will be probably going back to it because my one friend, we've played
Whoa.
off and on. And my cousin, again, same one that does Grounded, he loves Sea of Thieves. He's playing all the time. But my one friend that I've played off and on with, he watched the showcase and we were talking about it. And he's like, yeah, maybe Sea of Thieves. I was like, okay, well, I'll be there because it's fun to pop on and just play like for one night just get in there for a few hours and just muck around and do
That's
some
what I was
shit,
told,
so.
and then we went on this fucking Pirates of the Caribbean mission. We were stuck in a place for like a whole hour trying to figure it out. And
That was a hell of a fucking mission, though. Underwater with the mermaids and all
Yeah.
that shit.
I
Oh,
would be
Yeah, that
down.
was crazy.
I'd be down for us one time to sync up and run it back and try and have a more pause because I liked for the
There you
most
go.
part.
That's why they have the showcase. Remind you that it exists.
Yeah, I guess so. I had
We
a
can
positive
smuggle now.
experience. I just remember just that.
And we can go
last
fishing
portion.
afterwards in Fallout
Perfect.
76. We can have a grand old night together.
And I want to go.
And
that
we can
far.
like tame a cat in Elder Scrolls Online. I don't know what was new about that.
My power's gonna go out at that point. But
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves, yeah, we just had a souring experience in the end. But I would be down to, drink up me heart as you ho one more night. A nice summery night. So maybe we'll put it on the calendar or something.
Yeah. Travis, I seem to remember you liking the look of the first Planet of Lana, but I don't know if you ever got around to it. Am I making that up, or is that fiction or nonfiction?
Lana, let me pull it up here.
'Cause it's getting a sequel, Planet of Lana 2, Children of the Leaf, coming out next year.
Yeah, I never played it, but I like the art style. There's similar, like, it kind of at times looks like not No Man's Sky the game, but like the box art and stuff like that. But
Okay.
no, must have had a good trailer that first one. Never got around to playing it though, so forgot it existed
Yeah,
until now.
The first one was a Game Pass game. I played for maybe 3 or 4 hours. I think I got stuck on a puzzle and then just never came back to it. It was decent. I'm
Mermaids,
kind of surprised
water.
to see. Yeah, I'm surprised to see another one here. But for that audience, cool. Getting that sequel. And then there was a few games in here that kind of just reminders of upcoming games. So Ninja Gaiden 4, October 24st release. I don't think that was known, actually. I think we knew fall, but there we go.
I think
An
you're
official
right.
date. Gears Reloaded, August 26th. We already knew about that, but just a reminder. And then Tony Hawk 3+4, July 11th. Reminder about that as well. And then they showed off a few things with that one, but, Doom Guy and the TMNT characters in there. Can't wait to play as Doom Guy. I'm going to
Very
definitely
cool.
do that. Super fun. So yeah, just remind us for all those games coming out.
And they should do a lot more of those. Get more IP fun characters like in those type of games. I think that helps. So
Yeah, because I think Master Chief was in there at one point. Is that right, Taylor, or am I making that up?
I don't recall.
I know Spider-Man's been in there before. And there's been
Yeah,
all sorts of
Spider-Man's
freaks,
big,
but
yeah.
Travis, you are the foremost expert of the show Invincible on Geek
Oh,
First. What'd you
yeah.
think of this fighting game that we saw here?
Doesn't look bad. It's funny that they said I don't think I'm wrong. This it's like a 3v3.
Yep, tag
type of-
fighter. Yeah.
Yeah, which is just so funny.
One
we
less
just got
than
the Marvel.
Pokemon,
Yeah. I bet when they saw that they're like, fuck, we had heard this game was
I
working.
think it's a good thing though. Isn't 4 like overwhelming for a lot of people? I got to know how to
just-
play 4 characters now. Fuck.
I just think it's similar and the bigger brands. I think they go, and
Sure.
it looks nicer in my opinion. I get what they're going for here. Shell shaded, very, at times some Spider-Verse isms in there, but and like a comic book, obviously. Yeah, we had heard for a while, and maybe this is not the game, but we'd heard for a while that there was an Invincible game in the works. And the
okay.
second,
Yeah,
I
that's
saw,
right. That was like last year that was announced. I think. I totally forgot about that.
because they're also working on, like a live action movie. Like they're doing, I think that brand still pulls numbers for Amazon, even though I think the show is a bit more. Latest season better, but for a while it was a bit divisive. The second he was flying, and then when his dad attacked him, and just the way that it's in the show, I'm like, oh no, it's a fighting game. Like it just didn't fit with anything that's ever happened in the show before, and that's exactly what it is. And don't get me wrong, like I like a good old fighting game here and there. We talked about that where I feel like I'm the same with Dylan, where even though I like love Mortal Kombat, it's not ever the top tier as far as, I gotta play every type of game like this. There's certain times where okay, I'm in for a side scroller fighting, and then I'm good for a year or two, and again, if I'm gonna do this, I never got around to buying the new Mortal Kombat. I'd be doing that. And I don't know. I get it because Invincible is known for heroes just having mega fights all the time. Like the Invincible world is the worst place to live because your buildings are constantly being torn apart. There's death all around. Like the death count is by the thousands daily in that world. Sometimes it is awful. So I get the idea of construction destruction and throwing everybody around and blood and guts, but that's not what I don't think. It's probably a small audience, but I feel like they'd want some of that incorporated into a game where it is, as annoying as it is, because there's so many like 3D, third person open world explore superhero games. That's kind of what we want, especially in a world where we still don't have a Superman game. There's no, superhero game where you just go up and you fly around. The closest was maybe, I don't know, Iron Man back in the day on the Xbox. You know,
It's
so
like
I feel
Dragon Ball has done that, right?
I don't count that as a superhero. That's someone else. That's anime. You know.
Fair.
Yeah, just in my mindset, right? But it's like even Avengers, like when we play that, you could have, there's a flying character, but it's like little spurts of the map. So not what I wanted for an Invincible game. The game looks fine enough, but I don't think I'll ever play this unless people are like, this is unless this comes out, Marvel Tokens comes out, and they're like, oh man, this is actually the real superhero tip. But I don't think that's gonna happen. So no, didn't sell me here, unfortunately. So
Yeah. Taylor, did you see the trailer for Marvel Tokon from Summer Game Fest?
No, I didn't see that. You mentioned it, Travis, and I went
I
to
told him
Google
Ghost
it.
Rider was in it.
You told me, and when you told me about it, I tried Googling it, and I could not find it within the first
Okay.
25 minutes of when it was mentioned.
25 minutes? You couldn't find Marvel fighting
Couldn't
game?
find it. Couldn't
And
find
I
it. Maybe
knew
20.
Before
'Cause
Dylan's
Travis
gonna
probably
meme on
memed
me.
on the title.
No. Before that, I have receipts that I literally just copied the YouTube trailer name and posted that.
It
in the
wasn't all
chat.
caps, so
It wasn't all.
looked-
Yeah,
looked
I
legit.
didn't spell it out at all. So
That's
yeah,
insane to me.
I think Taylor just has a bad search engine. I think your phone's hacked. You gotta get
Well, I
that
think
checked
Madison
out.
might be, blocking some
Safe
sites on
search.
your.
He's got the
on your-
parental controls on.
Yeah,
No more
exactly.
Marvel. He talks enough Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. How about we take our last break of the show? Just a few more quick things here. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. If you wanted to play some old JRPGs, Xbox has got you covered. You can play Persona 4 Revival. You can play Final Fantasy VII Remake integrated this winter. You can play Final Fantasy 16 today. So there you go. If you want to play some old JRPGs, locked and loaded, good to go.
That's great.
Next up was Double Fine, who most recently made the Psychonauts 2. They have a new game called Keeper coming out October 17th, which I think similar to Obsidian, how they have like an Avowed or an Outer Worlds, which is like their big flagship thing, but then they have smaller things like a Grounded or a Pentiment that they can release that has like probably a shorter development time, lower budget. They can probably release in between bigger titles. I kind of feel like that's what's going on here with Double Fine. This is a game where you control a walking lighthouse, little light platforming sequence. I think what surprised me is there doesn't seem to be much like character or writing in this, which I feel like is a big Double Finey kind of thing. Funny game, like known voice actors thing. So I was kind of surprised about that. This is a weird game, and I like weird, but it almost wasn't weird enough. Like I feel like the initial premise is weird, but then everything else was kind of by the books. You just kind of walk around a little bit. So I mean, I'll play. It's Game Pass, so I'll check this game out. Once again, busy month, especially for Xbox. But yeah, really very unexpected. I never would have predicted. Oh yeah, Double Fine's gonna make a game where you play as a anthropomorphic lighthouse. That's pretty unconventional, I guess I could say.
Yeah, Psychonauts never done it for me, and same thing here. Just hasn't floated my boat yet. So, but I hope Willem Dafoe was in there somewhere.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. Good reference. Taylor, have you ever played Psychonauts? I don't think you have, right?
Nah, it's a negative.
Yeah. Interesting. Did you play Brutal Legend back in the day?
No, but I wanted to. That was
We should do a
that's
retro
one
for
that
Brutal Legend.
I would love to. I'd love to, because Jack Black, he played the main character, right?
Sure did. Sure did.
Nice.
That's Double Fine
Travis,
as well.
you're in,
my
right?
power is out that day as well.
Yeah, my PS5 hard drive is corrupted. You can use that one now whenever you need to get out an excuse.
Yeah,
to not
my
play a
cord,
game.
my cable, I'm still waiting on it.
Yeah. And then, as Travis mentioned at the top of the show, Black Ops 7 closed out this bad boy here, which, yeah, I mean, for the first like 2 or 3 minutes of the CGI trailer, I did not think it was Call of Duty. And then out of nowhere, like the guy had a gun and had a Call of Duty looking suit. And then I was like, oh, I guess this is Call of Duty. You had the guy from Heroes in there, Milo something or other. He's
Ventinello or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, Ventinello, that guy. I mean, it's Game Pass. I might check out the campaign, but even like the one that came out last year, I played like 2 or 3 missions. I was like, Then I got to like an open world, and I'm like, I'm out. I'm excited for zombies because I like zombies, but I don't know. I'm just not. I don't need these new Call of Duty things. But I don't know. You guys are jamming Call of Duty all the time. So what do you think about this Black Ops 7 announcement?
Are we jamming Call of Duty all the time?
Taylor is at the very least.
No,
Is
we're playing Star Wars Battlefront 2. That's where
When's
it's
the la-
at now.
when's the last
What is the
time you
most
played?
played game for either of you in the last year?
Oh, Call of Duty.
Well, there you go. Travis, same for you.
It's Call of Duty, Travis.
No, it's
You
like,
want to pretend
together?
it's Jones, but it's
No,
definitely
it's
Call of Duty.
GM mode for sure. You look at my hour
When did
count
that start?
Okay, well,
When did
that
that
I'll
start?
concede. Sure.
in March, but I
In March?
Okay, what's
oh,
number 2?
No.
I played.
What's
like,
number
It would
2?
be COD. Yes, it would be
Yeah,
COD.
okay.
Yeah. But I'm just no.
So I don't think it's
t-
that unfair to say you guys are playing Call of Duty all the time.
Yeah, I just mean like in the sense that I think. When's the last time you played Call of Duty, Taylor? I haven't played.
It would have been with you. The last time would have been with you.
That was like a couple. I feel like that's a couple months
Is it
ago now.
bound?
Yeah, so I have to do one more run. But yeah, so for me, it's and even then, that's where I guess where I more actually take myself in the conversation. I haven't played a Call of Duty game since Call of Duty Ghost.
Sure.
I've played Warzone, and I won't touch this at all. I don't. Don't get me wrong. I get it because it's tough when we talk about I feel like I referenced this maybe once a Sidequest, but I'm gonna do it again. God of War 2018. That's like the sign for like how do you revitalize a franchise by keeping the old and then bringing the new. And I can get that as far as Call of Duty, like this trailer, right? Like maybe appealing different people, showing, hey, this campaign's gonna get a bit more wild. I'd heard the last Black Ops was getting pretty wild too, but this seems on a different level. Like it's evoking some of that Remedy. Like I thought it was not Alan
Yeah.
Wake, but something where it's like, oh, this is
For
going
sure.
to be
Had that
Xbox's Alan Wake. Like he looks like a Milo, right? But that's where I think it's tough because it goes so far to that route where, okay, that might be what the campaign's going to be, but I still think at the end of the day it's going to be a Call of Duty game. I don't think it's going to get to an Alan Wake or a Control, which I've not played, situation where you're playing these wild levels on multiple fronts. So I think for me, it just felt like, and especially the way Phil set up, and because it's the one more thing. One more thing to me is either three things. It's a very anticipated game, like a Fable that's been cooking for a while. It's a surprise announcement, or it's a new IP from like a big dev where it's like, hey, like Starfield was, right? Where it's like, hey, we know they're working on this. This is finally what they're working. Hey, the new Call of Duty? No, I don't
What
care
would you have
what
put
it's
there
like.
from this showcase?
It sounds bad. Maybe people would disagree with me, but to prop it up, I would have put the Ally there. It's not a game, but it's a piece of hardware, and I could justify that of, hey, they're doing a big push. They want you to have this hardware. They do all this marketing on this is an Xbox. That would be, to me, the idea as you talk about what it's going to be. Maybe you give it a little bit more time, but that's what I would have done. Or you do the Outer Worlds trailer, and that leads directly into the fuller long hour direct where it's just like a one-to-one. But yeah, to me, it would have been the Ally. Just to be like, yeah, this is our tech. We fully believe in it. We don't got flops in here, but we got this, and this. But this just felt like it took that down for a lot of people, and I feel like they kind of set themselves up. And yeah, I won't play any Call of Duty games probably ever again, to be honest, other than Warzone. But just like Call of Duty proper, and my last point for Taylor goes, it's just I feel like Call of Duty is what Call of Duty is. I don't think that's a wheel that needs to be reinvented. It's just like a Madden now or a NHL where it's just you just pump them out. A FIFA, you just pump them, a Forza, you just pump them out. Little variations here and there, you change it because I don't think like same thing. This type of trailer should appeal to someone like me. But it hits all the Travis systems. It's being trippy. It's weird. Has fucking Nine Inch Nails music at the end. But I'm just like, yeah, it's Call of Duty. And maybe if Taylor were to play and say, no, this is actually super different and weird and out there. But like in the sense of how you play, I just think it's a wheel that you can't change it. It's just gonna roll. It can't fly. Can't go in water. It's meant for the ground, and that's okay. Make your wheel and make your money. That's okay. Just give us Warzone and put John Wick as a fucking skin already. Taylor, you told me, oh, Ballerina, it's coming.
He is
it?
coming. Oh yeah, I believe he's coming. He's coming.
You believe, just like you believed Indiana Jones and Captain America were coming, and I got dick all for that. So give me John Wick. But yeah, no, I thought this was one of the worst conferences ending ever in E3 Summer Games Fest history.
Crazy.
Yeah, ever.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because didn't last year? Because I feel like they've been doing this where at the end of the showcase they dedicate like here, stay tuned to the end of the showcase for 20 minutes on so and so game, and Outer Worlds was that this year. I think
thought
Call
so,
of Duty
yeah.
was it last year, right? So I'm trying to remember if they had showed a trailer earlier in the conference and then closed again, closed quote unquote with Call of Duty.
Familiar.
So
if it wasn't last year, it was the year before. Like that sounds like a familiar
right.
pairing of ideas. So.
And I can't remember what they did the year before, but yeah, Taylor, I think this is the first time that they've ever done like. I don't think they've ever done like Modern Warfare 1 and then 2 the year after. Like they've always mixed up the kind of sub series, I suppose, of Call of Duty. Have they ever done Black Ops 6 to set? Like, have they ever done this before within the series?
Well, you just reminded me. Modern Warfare 2 compared to Modern Warfare 3.
Because that World at War was I feel like Advanced Warfare was in between 2 and 3,
Uh,
or maybe
Modern
Black
Warfare
Ops
2
2.
Modern Warfare 2 came out in 2022 and Modern Warfare 3 came out in 2023. So that was a back-to-back year there.
Okay.
So that would be
Okay.
the first time then, because yeah, this caught me off guard, seeing that we're going to Black Ops 7 right off the cusp of Black Ops 6. I have never been big on the Black Ops games. Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, those were good. I did enjoy Black Ops 3, but
It's crazy that
afterwards,
there's
once we got
7 of
into,
them now.
I know once we hit.
Because at first, second when Taylor's talking, he's like, I'm not a fan of Black Ops. He's like, oh, I like 1, I like 2, I like 3. I'm like, oh, you like them? But I'm like, oh, right. No, 7, that's not even half of them.
That's not even half.
That's
not
fair
even
enough.
half.
Yeah.
Once we hit those later ones, and I think it was Black Ops 4 that brought in the first Warzone or Battle Royale kind of map on the Blackout map, and then in comes Modern Warfare 1 in 2019. Yeah, because Black Ops 4 is 2018, so yeah, Modern Warfare was 2019, and that brought in Warzone and built off of it. So everything with Black Ops at this point, I'm not really on board with it. It's not something that I jive with. I like a lot of these spin-off ones, like Advanced Warfare. That one was the bee's knees. That's when they brought in the exosuit and they brought in a few other things and just the zombies maps in there. I had a hell of a good time with that. And the way they had like the gun building system in there too. There was so much good stuff about that game. After that, there was Infinite Warfare, which is very much in the future. I really liked how that one felt. I had a lot of fun with that one. And again, they play very different from each other. And at the end of the day, though, I feel like Black Ops is always something that was rooted or in like the older, like you got Cold War. That was Black Ops 5. So there's just, when you play Black Ops games, I feel like there's just much more of like a sluggish kind of feel to it. And maybe that's just me and my own personal bias in this, because I like how fast and responsive the Modern Warfare titles are. And 2019 Modern Warfare, holy shit, like that was just like they hit the peak right there for bringing these Call of Duty games out, and they're just not hitting that stride anymore with these titles. Modern Warfare 3 Open World Zombies, that was again another peak that they hit. But now that they're back to doing these classic turn or round based zombies, like it's fine, but I'm not on board for it. Like I'm not there. If I'm not even buying these Call of Duties anymore because they're just popping up on Games Pass, which is great because now I don't have to worry about it. I get access to all the guns and everything. What's that, Travis?
I just because I looked up, but it's crazy because I agree with you, but still, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, highest selling game last year.
Yeah, I believe it.
Isn't that crazy though that it's still like a bunch of people on Xbox and just downloading Games Pass, but still, because I just wonder, I'm just like, it's been that way since the podcast started, probably before the podcast started. It's like, how many more years do we think we have where Call of Duty's like in the top 5?
Oh, a lot, because you know what, the people that are
nuts.
putting the money into this, their kids are going to grow up and they're going to be doing the same thing. It's an endless cycle on repeat. Now
It's crazy.
What I think that they need to do is I think they need to scrap this Black Ops narrative. I dropped this narrative
Top
a
selling
long
game,
time ago.
Taylor, of the year.
I
They ain't gonna
know,
drop
but
shit.
they should. I don't have any connection to the Black Ops characters. To each his own, though.
But
To each
people
his own.
do.
There's a lot
Top
of
selling game.
woods. There's a lot of masons. There's like, what do the numbers mean, Mason? All that kind of shit. But for me, I think what they got to do is they got to go back, just like they did 2019 Modern Warfare. They got to give us World at War remaster, not even like a remaster, but build that shit from the ground up using like the game engine for a Black Ops 7 or something like that. But do World at War, give us those 4 OG zombie maps in there again. Oh my god, that would be peak. You could throw in a little bit of extra sprinkles in there too. Get away with the bubble gum machines. I don't need any of that anymore. I don't need any of the other stuff. Just keep it simple, back to basics, with a little bit of optional choices and customization there, sure, whatever. But yeah, give us that main campaign too. The World at War campaign was phenomenal. That was such a good story. It was crazy missions, but even the multiplayer was popping off back in the day too. I think just going along that route, doing a World at War kind of relaunch would be pretty hype and be pretty peak. Because I don't know what else you do at this point. Like, we've been to the future so many times. I don't know how many times you can keep going there. Like, and we've been back to Cold War, World War One, World War Two, so many times. But at least if you do a World at War, you're hitting on a big chunk of nostalgia because that game was great. So
Yeah.
Numbers go against you though, Taylor. Other than in 2023, this entire decade, every year Call of Duty's at number 1. That's crazy. Hogwarts
Yep.
Legacy is the only year that bumped it off. So that's That to me is not like it's not. If you were to say, hey, it's in the top 10, that would be nuts to me. But the fact that it's top 3 is nuts to me. The fact that it's top 1 is even nutso, whatever you want to say. Like, I can't believe we've been doing this for 10 years and it's still the exact same. You know,
That's why they closed it out on their show.
That's why they spent $70 billion to acquire Activision Blizzard.
And that's why you're getting Black Ops 7, Taylor. You know, number 1 game of the year. Why would they stop? They can do that. They can do your stuff when they drop down a little bit.
They can.
You know?
And you know what? At the end of the day, I don't play the campaigns anymore for these. Like, it is what it is. Other people can. I'm playing the multiplayer. I do enjoy just team deathmatch. However many times we have Nuketown now, fuck, we've had like 6 iterations of Nuketown. I don't even fucking know anymore. But I'm still playing the multiplayer. I do enjoy team deathmatch, domination, hardpoint. Those are my go-tos. And then when you guys are online, I'm absolutely down to just pop on the Warzone. And I think it'll be exciting to see what this brings for Warzone. Just to see, we're gonna get some new maps, new guns, all that kind of stuff. So
if they remove Omni movement, I'll play some multiplayer, but
oh fuck yeah,
I'm guessing
me
that's
too.
mainstay for the next few years.
It needs to go. There's a chance that they could remove it in this new one, the Omni movement. Fuck, we were talking about wall riding and Mario Kart. Omni movement's oh my god, your age will show once, because that shit, like the tweakers, the ADHDers, the crazies, just like jumping around 360s, wall jumps, like all over the ceilings and shit. I can't keep up with that. Fuck, I work a 9 to 5. I'm just trying to enjoy my Friday night.
Oh my god. I'm guessing Gamescom will get like a 10-15 minute like full breakdown of this game. That would be my prediction of when we get more info on this, because they didn't show like shit all in this. Really
just cinematic, really.
Yeah.
That cinematic, I didn't know how to interpret it. I thought it was Starfield at first when I saw it, and then it went all haywire, and I thought this is like Stranger Things, kind of like I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah, I guess Black Ops
back
is just
in
like their Black Ops is just their like what if scenario thing now. So it's kind of just like their template for just getting crazy and zany with it.
Like the what if, I feel like in the first few games were very, very realistic what ifs, right? Where
it was like, here's one turn in history, and now it's just like in the future, if all this crazy
what
shit.
If JFK was alive? You know, now it's just like now you're seeing multiple like what
if JFK was God or something?
It's like, what if JFK was Doctor Strange? When he walked down, the world like flipped. I was like, whoa! It's like, is this an Inception game? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. Well, Taylor mentioned Starfield there. Let's talk a little bit about our predictions, or our failed predictions, I suppose. So one of the things I predicted was that we were going to get Starfield. I said we were going to get 2 updates. We're going to get like a story DLC and then like a building, space-based thing like that. Starfield a no-show. Yeah, Taylor thought it was happening there. But instead it was a complete no-show, which really surprises me. Just like, I don't know if they don't have anything ready, if they're just not doing more Starfield stuff, if they're just letting modders do all the Starfield stuff and they're just not going to do anything themselves. But I was surprised, considering we get like Sea of Thieves every year, we get Elder Scrolls every year, we get Fallout 76 every year. I thought Starfield was going to become that, and maybe they just don't have anything ready. But considering that like they wouldn't have something like that at a developer direct in January, I don't think they would like spend money for like a Game Awards trailer for Starfield DLC. So feels like we wouldn't get anything until next. I mean, maybe they can just drop that on any random day. They don't need to have a showcase. But obviously, I predicted it, and I was very surprised to see. Maybe not that my prediction didn't come true, but that we just didn't even see a Starfield logo on any screen. I don't even think. Maybe when they were talking to the Ally, they had like a screenshot of it in the background. But I was very surprised with that.
I thought, though, that last DLC that the game got, that wasn't attached like a showcase or anything, right? It was just kind of a,
Well, it was tricky because that was part of the pre-order bonus, right? So it was known before the game came. It was kind of like the Jones thing, where it's like, I don't know. I think that was at the showcase, though, last summer. I think it was like, here's what it actually is called. Here's what it looks like. It's coming out in the fall.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if there's going to be more, because I don't know. I think that I don't think it was reception was mixed in the way that it was like divisive of like a fail or not fail. I think it was just didn't live up to the hype that some people were hoping for. I really enjoyed it.
I just thought like that's exactly what happened with 76, and like now looking at it, they're still supporting it. So
but that's at least that's at least built off the back of Fallout, though, right? That branding of and that like the show and everything.
I guess another thing too is like if Starfield is now like the third pillar for Bethesda, we'll see if it was a one-off or if they make a sequel. But like obviously they had Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and they were kind of flopping back forth. Now that Starfield's in the mix, that means that like before the next Starfield comes out, assuming we get a Fallout 5 and then and then Elder Scrolls 6, like it's gonna be a long ass time before we get a Starfield sequel. So it makes sense to like support it for years and years to come in like smaller updates. But
You
it
think
didn't happen.
You think it's a for sure Starfield sequel?
I don't know. I don't think it's a for sure, and because I think by the time that would be the next game up, like Todd Howard might not even be at Bethesda anymore. Who knows what the direction will be like for that studio? Maybe it'll just be like, we just want to make Elder Scrolls and Fallout, and we don't have time for anything else if development times are 10, 15 years, whatever, for some of these games. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I thought it would show up. Another thing that Taylor thought would show up was Gears 6, but we didn't even see Gears E-Day. So I'm thinking now Gears E-Day must be one of the 4 or 5 things that the developer direct in January. But yeah, in hindsight, like we just got Gears Reloaded. But in hindsight, are you feeling weird about that, like I am with Starfield, or are you feeling like actually maybe that was a weird prediction that I made?
I don't feel like it was a weird prediction. I feel like it was, again, with your Starfield, I think it's all true. You know, you got them bragging about, 25 years you've been with us, 25 years. Da, da, da. It's like, well, you know what, 25 years ended in a fuck you kind of thing. Like, you should be looking towards the future here with some of this stuff, not dwelling on the
Gears
past.
6 wouldn't have been dwell on the past. A Gears 6, that's kind of dwelling on the past a little bit. It's the
No,
6.
more than Gears Reloaded, that's dwelling on the past. If I
Yeah,
ever
but you gotta
seen
get that on PlayStation though. That's why, you know.
I guess, but
Crossplay confirmed. Not. I was really hoping they were gonna be like, and guess what? This time there's 4 people. It's only 2 still. So I really wanted to do a squad.
see,
night,
it's stuck
but-
in the past. That's
Gears
what it
1
is.
didn't have Horde mode, right? Or what is it? Did they have a name for that?
I thought that was Gears 2 that introduced
Yeah.
that.
I don't even
Gears
know if
1
that
was
was more than
just
2 players. But...
I thought that was 4 because I thought Gears 2
Yeah.
changed the game by being 4 players. Actually,
Huh.
I thought it might have. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Another thing, this is more a summer game fest, but I was thinking Stray would show up. Didn't get that at all. Another thing you thought, Taylor, was State of Decay, which was definitely absent here. Concerned about State of Decay? What's
I'm
going on?
concerned. I went to the Reddit posts, and other people are concerned too. They're a little bit uneasy on this. So I'm not the only one. I said it, and I was just doubting myself, thinking, yeah, it's probably not gonna get any kind of a mention.
Travis, I forget, did you have a Xbox Showcase specific prediction?
Yeah, it was the Xbox will have 2 or a new project announced for Switch, PlayStation sort of deal, like something like
Right.
that, and it didn't happen. So I was thinking we get that, but no, we did not get anything new for Xbox and new titles. Because I even thought I guess that wasn't specific, but I just said like over the weekend that will pop up somewhere, and it didn't. So yeah.
Yeah, there's been some murmurs that one of the things releasing next year would be Halo Combat Evolved.
Yes, that's
Remake,
what I was going
which
off of.
would make sense for that. As I mentioned in the Discord today, that would make sense for that to be the first time for Halo to finally make that jump over to PlayStation. That would be the game to do that with, obviously the OG game. So maybe we'll see some of that. We did see there was definitely a lot of PS5 logos in the end screens of a lot of the games here. I don't think there was any Switch 2 games though.
No, not yet.
And even though I think about like Summer Game Fest didn't really have the Switch 2 logo. I think we talked about that a little bit.
Just
Like I
that
don't know.
Cyberpunk trailer.
Yeah, like I don't know what's going on with some of that. But what's up, Taylor?
I think it's just almost similar like how the Switch was, right? Like it took a while for some of these, like even Cyberpunk coming over. That game's been out for a while, so I think it's still at a state where they like to like. Here's our.
I
Nintendo
feel like a game
stuff,
like
and-
Keeper, that new Double Fine game, like to me that seems like I'm sure that could run on a Switch 1.
Absolutely, but also just because the newer console would come down to like contracts and working things out, where if Switch
Yeah.
2 was running and stuff.
And for
so
Keeper in particular, that is Xbox first party, so they'd probably want that exclusivity window for a few months before it jumps over. But
yeah.
Sorry, because Travis, you guys might have covered this in the previous Games Fest episode you did on, was it Friday?
Friday. Yeah.
But you, Travis, because you predicted Jurassic Park Survival, but
Right.
I don't know what happened with that one. I'm sorry.
I was gonna give you credit because you were like 50-50, like still in
Yeah.
the win
the IP,
there.
right?
I said in this court, I should have just went with Jurassic. That should now I've learned to be safer, but I want to go for specific. But yeah, the second I said that in Discord, the second
Specific
I
is
saw
fun. Specific's more fun.
Yeah, second I saw Evolution, I'm like, oh, there goes my survival. Same thing because I released that trailer, did an interview, so okay, we're cooking here, and I guess the plate is still a little cool right now. So
Yeah.
I'm not worried about like State of Decay, but I just thought now it's time. But also didn't know Evolution was cooking, so there. And then the only one I got right was the James Bond actor one, so I'll take
Sure.
it.
Yeah. Taylor, by the way, what did you think? Good reminder. Think of Evolution 3. What did that trailer do for you? What's kind of new and captivating about that?
The biggest thing is letting your dinos breed in the wild, getting like infant baby dinosaurs. Like you have like
Oh yeah.
there's the mom T-Rex and the two little infants there. You got the big mama Mosasaurus and the two infants swimming next to it. That is super exciting. I can't wait. It seems like they're getting much more hands-on with the first person perspective too, which is really exciting. And the way that like we know that your vehicles could be damaged and whatnot before, but it seems like they're really upping the ante a little bit more with that. Yeah, I mean the worlds and the locations, that's always nice. So it'll be cool to see where they're going with this. And these games play a direct tie-in with the films. So not like during the film, but kind of like, oh, like leading up to kind of a thing. Not that I care about the canon or whatnot, but it's fun just to kind of have the characters really closely affiliated with your story as you're kind of going along doing these missions. But the game is immaculately beautiful. I mean, you've played it. Like Jurassic World Evolution 2 is just a beautiful game with so much detail and its wonder, and being able to choose between decorating a theme park between Jurassic Park and then Jurassic World, and being able to go even further and make it like a Lost World Jurassic Park 3 kind of a thing, run down, but just like they have so many really cool things, and they never fail to keep adding more and more and more, with Jurassic World Evolution 2 being the inclusion of aerial dinosaurs and aquatic dinosaurs and all that. Like they've added so many really awesome things. So I'm excited to see how big this one's going to be. That being said, I'm not going to get a day one. This is a game that's going to go on sale very, very quickly. I guarantee it. I'm going to wait.
Eventually, those ones went on Game Pass too, or at least the second one of them did go on Game Pass.
That's true. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think to me it looked a lot more like Vertical, like in terms of being able to build up more like hills and little plateaus and things like that. So it seems like you can get a little more dynamic with your park, which is pretty cool. All right, I'm gonna give this showcase 3.9. To me, it's not quite a 4, but it's definitely not a 3.5. So I'm giving it a 3.9. It's just under a 4 for me. I think it needed one more big sauce, and then it would have been in the 4.5 range. Maybe a little more, couple more personal things for me. But overall, I think it was really great. And yeah, Xbox continues to. I like that I can at this point now look forward to every Xbox showcase. For a bit there, I was like, I don't know what we're gonna get, but now it seems like every year we at least get. I feel like if we ever go below a 3.5, I'll be shocked for me. But yeah, 3.9 for me.
I won't be shocked if Phil and the team's always around, because they can always surprise me to unsurprise me. You know.
Fuck Phil. Yeah.
I'm gonna steal your gimmick. 3.9 is great. I honestly at some point was like at a 4.5, probably about midway through, just because I like the pacing. I thought there was lots of games. There's one game that's not Xbox exclusive we didn't talk about that I liked, called Chronos. I
yes.
liked it. Yeah, I like the monster designs, but it's for everybody and it's this fall. So I'm like, okay, well I'm not getting that game right away, but it's on my list for when that gets cheaper, whatever. But
their last game or two were on Game Pass, so I don't know if that was, but it could become a Game Pass game.
But is this Chronos? Like, oh, you mean from the dev, or is this like a series?
No, like a Bloober team who makes that. They did the Medium, they did the Blair Witch game, all of which were on Game Pass. I don't think Silent Hill was. They did that remake, but that's a bit different because it's Konami as well. But
yeah,
it could be a Game Pass one.
Yeah, but no, I thought, because for me, sometimes I feel like I lean. That's why I always wait for those 5s. The pacing to me, I really appreciate how someone puts the show together. And I thought the show, just take away the games at first, were very well done. I think things got a good amount. I think like we talked about Summer Games Fest, it did not have that like, oh, 3 games ran together, didn't know what they were. I felt like there was a lot of variety. It wasn't like, oh, here's 5 dark fantasy things. It's like, oh, it's High on Life, to a
Here's
Chronos,
3 or 4
to
dark
Grounded.
fantasy
Yeah, it's all like different. It's like you could have a string of 6 to 8 games where you're not going to confuse them. You're going to look at them like, oh, they're all very different. Where I think that happened with both Sony and the Summer Games Fest. So, but the 3.9 is because of, could have liked some more WoW moments and some stuff from their catalog, and also the COD review legit is a -5, like 0.5, but I like the 0.6. So yeah, that's 3.9. That's perfect. It's seeing 4 seems too strong, but to me it's like just above that. Just know how, just flip it through things. Like I said, if that Allies last, it's a 4 for sure. So
Taylor, what's your number?
I'm gonna go 3.5. You know, I feel
Oh.
like it was consistent and is good. I think there's definitely a good amount of content for everyone here, and they're hitting all their bases. But it's definitely not perfect, and I'm dogging at points because I'm being greedy, and I wanted some more.
Don't be greedy.
Yeah, don't be greedy now. I wanted some more some Taylor stuff in here. Not even any like Halo stuff. You know, obviously there's a Combat Evolved rumors, but just something on the horizon.
That's for us. That's for the Sony guys, not you.
Yeah, Horizon's
that's
for
right.
PlayStation fans. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
get
right.
outta here.
If I'm being like absolutely super greedy, I want like a Halo Wars 3. I want my Gear 6.
You've been asked
I
for Halo
want,
Wars 3 since this podcast started.
I know. I got 2, and that's as far as they're gonna give me.
Yeah.
All right, that's about it. Oh yeah, one completely unrelated to anything we just talked about. Taylor, name any video game.
Any
In the
video
world.
game?
Name one video game. Any video game.
Any video game in the world? Star Wars Empire at War.
Empire at War. Okay. That'll be relevant at some point in the future, but thank you for
Uh-oh.
answering that. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This is a fun episode. Next week, we'll be back to talk about more Mario Kart, more Switch 2.
Travis doesn't have to answer this question either?
Nope, he does not have to answer this question.
Uh-oh.
No, it's good. You're fine. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, boys, for joining me many times throughout this week. We did a lot of side quests, and thank you for not leaving me hanging. You know, I had a lot of good company this week talking about video games, which was really fun. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.